if you could set yourself up for universal settings, which is gear bar 2 and stop bar 2, and then a half spring would be great. You're going to need the platform and the box. I've put together a bunch of different exercises. I don't think any of you have probably done them exactly. So of course, just, you know, as always, I want you to move mindfully. I'm going to layer information. So progress the exercise. You don't have to do all the progressions. You do what makes sense for your body today. So you have the half spring, you have the platform over the springs, the foot bar down, and the box is in front of the shoulder rest, which is not how we normally put it. So I need to make sure everybody is in front of the shoulder rest. Perfect, or else it could slide around on you. Okay, cool. So we're gonna get started kneeling. If kneeling doesn't work for you, you could stand at the end of the reformer and turn the reformer and be here instead. Okay, so put your hands against, kind of in line with the shoulder rest so that the box isn't gonna tip sideways, and hinge at your hips, keeping yourself shifted forward as much as you can. So you're trying to not have your hips really far back, but you're trying to get your pelvis over your knees. And just stay there. Keep pushing through the arms, round through your lower back, trying to scoop the lower back up towards the ceiling, and then lengthen the lower back out. So try not to sink down into it like I am right now, that you're trying to be horizontal. So pick a place where your head and shoulders are in line with the rest of your body. You could balance a tray on your back. And then it's this thick kind of taffy pull quality where you're rounding and lengthening through your spine. Rounding, you're not really going up and down, but you're lengthening. Anita, flatten your upper body. You're in a like kneeling push-up. There we go. Don't push out so far that your pelvis is not over your knees. Yeah, exactly. So kind of thick, rounding quality, stretching the lower back open, lengthening back out, and stretching the lower back open, and lengthening out. Should feel very abdominal. Round and lengthen one more time. Feel the pelvis curl underneath. Round and lengthen. Keep the connections happening. You're going to bend your elbows and press. Elbows aren't going to go straight side or straight back. They're kind of somewhere in the middle, that line of scaption. Bending and pressing. Your torso is totally still. Shoulders are away from the ears. Some of you, as your elbows are bending and straightening, your body is going up and down. Your body should be still. Yeah, Melanie, lower your upper body a little bit. You're kind of up. Yeah, that's better. The more you can get horizontal, the more work you're gonna feel here. It's like if I had you do a handstand and do push-ups while you were doing a handstand. That's the kind of motion overhead we're trying to do. And obviously I'm not gonna have you guys do that anytime soon. So working that overhead press. Then if you want it to be a little harder, you can take one hand away, put it on your hip, put it on the carriage, wherever you want. So it's a little bit heavier. You'll feel the press becomes more asymmetrical through the body. You have to work a little harder through the torso to stay even. Bend and press. We're all on a half spring. At any point, you always could make it heavier or lighter, but I think a half spring will work for everybody. Yeah, switch arms if you're doing one arm, bending and pressing. Yeah, try to keep the torso still. So instead of being in sort of a round back, be in neutral. There should be a little curve through your lower back. Yeah, there we go. That looks awesome, Anita. And Anne, yeah, exactly. Last two. And last one. Come all the way back in. Put both hands back on top. Make sure your box hasn't gotten crooked. And you're gonna push the pelvis forward a little bit. You'll feel your abdominals have to turn on quite a bit. Don't let the carriage get away from you. Just push forward a little bit more with the arms, bring it back. So you're now in a kneeling plank position. The more you can get your hips forward, if they're back at all, this feels pretty easy. Awesome, yeah. I'm just making it in a range that feels good for you. Should feel mostly like abdominal work. One more. Bring the carriage back in. Then hinge at the hips, push out towards horizontal. Bring the hands back underneath. Hinge, and the hands come back underneath. So you're neutral the whole time. You're just changing at the hip joint and the shoulders. Push out, lift up. Push out towards horizontal, lift up. You can go into a little bit of upper back extension if you like. Down and lift. Keep your pelvis where it is now, so you're not in a kneeling plank position. Your pelvis is just staying over your knees. Keep your pelvis over your knees. Your upper body should be coming up. Some of you are doing the arm exercise and some of you are doing the plank. It's neither of those things. It's a hinge at the hip. Your head comes up to the ceiling. Your head gets closer to the box as you press out. Your head comes up to the ceiling. There we go. Now we're all doing it here. Up and down with the torso. Opening up kind of the armpits as you press the carriage out and pull back in. Yeah. And one more time. And then bring the carriage back in. Bring your forearms down. Press your carriage out into a kneeling plank position. Round your lower back as much as you can. And then push the carriage out a little to lengthen into a neutral line. Round your lower back. Then lengthen to neutral. So don't move your pelvis, don't move your knees. It's small. It's between the bottom ribs and the pelvis. You're trying to curl the pelvis under. Yeah, that's right, Anna. Yeah, exactly. Rounding and lengthen to neutral. It should feel like a ton of abdominals. See if you can make more change happen, Anita, between the bottom ribs and the pelvis. So your hips are up like this. Get them forward into your plank. Yes, and now just round your lower back. Try not to move the arms very much. Does anybody else feel what I'm talking about? The core, lots of abs? Okay, good. I got some head nods there. Rounding and lengthening. Try not to have the pelvis just sink down so you're not just like collapsing. You're pretty much in the same plane of motion the whole time. You're changing the curvature of your lower spine. Is it subtle? Is it small? Yeah, totally. That's why it's hard. And around. And then bringing the carriage back in. Good. Step off of here and come to sitting on the box. You should have room for your feet. Take the straps in your hands. It's going to start out very light. Sweep your arms forward. Hold your arms up and back behind your head like tricep presses. Be vertical. And then just do a couple tricep presses to feel how light it is. It shouldn't feel heavy. And then I want you to go into reciprocal. So one arm presses, then you bend and the other arm takes over. So you're doing your overhead salute. Yeah, as much as you can. Oh, Melanie, turn around and face the other direction. You're like, why isn't this working? It happens all the time to me. Yes, good. And if it's too heavy, just go back to both arms. Trying to stay as vertical as possible. Bending one arm, press, bend, press. 3 more, whatever you're doing, finish up even on both sides. And then keep the arms straight and sweep the arms down to reach back. And then press the arms forward, open the elbows, so like second position, open and close. Mostly I want you to feel your pecs opening so you get a big stretch. Today you're allowed to go behind yourself. I know I don't normally let you. Should feel very light so that you can go back behind yourself. If it's possible, I'm going to turn so I can face you. If it's possible, you're going to start to take this into more of a dynamic movement. So you're going kind of more in, out, and forward. In, out, open the chest, and a little rounding forward. So it becomes kind of like wings. If it's too much to think about, just go back to your second position. Yeah, so you can round a little bit. You can extend a little bit. Round the upper spine a little, extend. Yeah, and hopefully you have tension the whole time. If the straps are set correctly, it should feel like you can stay within the spring tension the whole time. And then start to open your arms up higher on the diagonal. So you still come in, you open up. Come in and forward, open up to the V. It can be fluid. You can go from high diagonal to more of a horizontal to low diagonal. Each time kind of find a new direction to open your arms to. Up high is probably the hardest. The weight gets a lot heavier. And then you're going to open your arms up to the high diagonal. Lift your sternum into chest. Obviously feel grounded so you're not going to tip over. Let your arms go a little bit further back, open across the front of the chest, and then round a little bit. And the arms come forward of you. Lift the sternum, the arms go back of you. Round a little bit. And lift. And round a little bit. Your arms stay up there. They're not coming down. My arms aren't changing at the elbow, really. I'm just changing my thoracic spine, which is moving my arms. Arms are in a V. Lift. 2 more. Up above the head. Something like that. And then circle the arms around, and you can come off of here. Put the straps back, and let's bring the foot bar up. Probably all the way to the second to the top is going to probably work for most everyone. So you're going to be leaning against the the box. Forearm is on, my hip is back, and then my hip is leaning against the box. Yeah, exactly. Your foot can be on the bar, your leg is turned out, push out and come back in. It's not very heavy, and that's okay for today. Push out and pull in. Yeah. Once this feels pretty good, you could switch and add another quarter spring if you like. Depends on how it feels to you. And then try to open your chest up to the ceiling, towards the side. Your foot can be a little bit in front of the body. It shouldn't hurt your hip because it's not like you're putting all your weight into it. A lot of weight is going down through the shoulder to hold you up. Nice, that looks beautiful, everyone. And 2 more. Then you're gonna press out, stay there, bring your hand behind your head, rotate your upper body towards the box, rotate back towards the front, rotate towards the box and back towards the front. So it's not very big motion, carriage is still, but it should feel like some work through the bottom side of the body, through the hip, side of the pelvis, shoulder, lat, obliques. Trying to think of like you're almost threading your elbow through that gap under your armpit. Rotate. And 3 more. Keep pushing the foot bar away. And last one, coming all the way back in. Set your knees down and your hands down. Back your knees up a little bit so your knees are far away from your hands. One hand and knee is on the platform, one's on the carriage. just push the carriage out, big stretch through your inner thighs. Yeah. And then come back in. If the foot bar bothers you because it's touching your shin a little bit, then you can put it down, but you'll have to bring it back up. Push out and come back in. Yeah. And push out. And round your back as you come in, squeeze against the stopper. Press out, stretch out as far as you can. Use your arms to help you. Nice. And one more time. And then crawling further forward. If you added a quarter spring to this, then it's going to be easier. If you're just still on your half spring, it's a little harder. So you can adjust if you need to. So put one leg on each, push the arms and legs out as wide as you can go, pull back in. Yeah, so you're trying to not just kind of sink into it, but you're trying to lift up and out of it. And if you want to do this standing instead, then you're welcome to get off your knees. Yeah. So then we're going to press out, keep the arms up as you come back in. On your next one, you're going to rotate towards the back of the reformer and towards the foot bar as you come in. Rotate towards the pulleys, rotate towards the foot bar. Trying to not just sink into it, but lift through the pelvis the whole time. Three more. And last one. And come all the way back in. Cool. So then from here, we're going to leave the foot bar where it is, and you're going to stand up on the platform. The foot bar is behind you. That's not a bad thing. So if you're standing on the platform, nothing's going to move. Cool. So just nod your chin and roll down like you're trying to reach your hands towards the carriage, because you are. Bend your knees a little bit, straighten your legs, and then feel like you draw down through the back of the pelvis to roll yourself back up to standing. And do that again. Nod the chin, roll down, touch the carriage if you can, bend your knees as necessary. You just want to get comfortable up here so that we can add to what we're doing. So this time you're going to roll down and you're going to touch the box, put the hands on top of the box, bend the knees into a squat position and try to, again, get your pelvis and your shoulders at least level. So you're not here where your butt's way higher than your shoulders. And then push out and lift your hips up like downward dog. Bend the knees, bring the carriage back in to that level torso position. You are meant to be working your legs. So it's like kind of like footwork. It's a squat and then it's a downward dog-ish shape. Yeah, exactly. It is totally fine if your legs don't straighten all the way. You just do as far as you can go. Push out and pull in. It's like you're trying to open up the back of the leg. Forgot I still have my quarter spring on. There we go. A little lighter. Nice. Push out, lift the hips. Bend the knees, come in. Push out, lift the hips. You should be neutral, so in a flat back. So now as you come back in, instead of bending everything in, I like that. It's different than what I'm doing. Try to come into neutral and straight arms, like flat back. Yeah. And now just change your hips and your knees to come up, flat back there, Anita. You're rounded. See if you can straighten. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so stay there and just push and pull the carriage a few times. Not super hard. We're just, again, getting comfortable up here. These are new positions for most of us. So trying to stay as straight as possible. Push, pull. Nice. Try to lengthen through your spine. and then bring the carriage back in. Don't let go of your hands. Keep your hands on the box. Bring one foot forward. Let's bring the foot closer to the camera forward, sorry. It'll make it easier when we switch. As you push out, you're gonna bend the front leg. Don't take your hands off the box. And then as you come back in, you kind of come up into like a yoga triangle type position. Yeah, exactly. Big lunge, your back heel can lift. Your back heel goes down more. Ginge, try adding some yoga blocks under your hands. Be careful as you come off of there that you're not standing on the carriage ever. That's standing on the carriage. Stand on the platform to get off. Yeah. I trust you. I trust you. I'm just risk management over here. Lunging forward. Open up that back hip as much as you can. And yeah, that looks pretty good. One more time, you're gonna press out into that lunge and stay there. You could, of course, could be up on your fingertips if you needed to be, but having the whole hand down is a little more stable for this first time we're doing this. Bend and straighten the front leg like back splits. It might not move very far because we're in this kind of tight, locked up position. We'd have to have really long hamstrings to go very far. So don't move the back leg. The back leg does not change. It's just that front knee trying to straighten. Yeah, beautiful, everyone. If you decide to get off of this, just remember you have to step onto the platform. Don't stand on the carriage. Good. Keep your hands touching the box, but take some weight out of them. So you're not changing that you're holding the box. You're just not putting a lot of weight into them. You're holding yourself up instead. Yeah, but keep touching the box. Don't take your hands off the box. I know, I'm a broken record here. Then you're gonna bend the back knee and straighten the back leg. Awesome, that looks great, Anita. Good, Ginge. Because we're on this light spring, you have to control and stabilize a lot. So it should feel like your legs are working. Try not to let that front shin touch the box. If your front shin is touching the box, you're kind of collapsing in the hip. Melanie, are you just on the half spring? It looks so heavy. It's the blue middle one. Yeah, okay. Don't let the carriage come in and touch you. You have to be in control of the carriage. Nothing is changing through that front leg. Bend and straighten the back leg. There we go. Good, one more time. Come all the way back in. Step back onto the platform. Roll yourself up to standing. And then roll yourself back down. Touch the box. I've never had any of you do this before, so you have to be very mindful. I trust you. Keep your hands on the box, the whole surface of your hands. Bend your knees, step both feet onto the carriage. And then one hand at a time, walk it forward. So now you're in a squat position, as low as you can be. Hands are down, you're not gonna take both hands off ever. Yeah, if your calves are tight, it's hard to get the heels down, but you do the best you can. Grab the strap that's closer to the camera and do a small rowing motion. You pull back and you reach forward. Don't let go of the other hand. Keep yourself nice and low. Yeah. Anita, you could lower your hips and lift your chest. Good, so you're just pulling the elbow back towards the side like you're, I don't know, starting a lawnmower is what people always say, but how often do we do that? Like a guitar, strumming a guitar, sideways. Then you're gonna bend your elbow and straighten your elbow back by your side. You can hold up as high on the rope as you need. If you decide this is too hard and you wanna get out of this, don't stay standing on the carriage and take your hands off. Then you're gonna put that together. So you do a low row, extend the elbow, bend the elbow, reach forward. Low row, extend the elbow, bend the elbow, reach forward. If you decide to come off, keep both hands on the carriage. Even if you drop the strap, I don't care, that's fine with me, but don't just stand up. If you can, add a little rotation of your upper body so you're looking towards that hand as you open. Look towards the hand. One more time. Put the strap back on the shoulder rest. Don't put both hands on. Step back onto the platform with one foot, then the other. Then you can roll yourself up to standing and take a breath. Bend your knees, straighten your knees, back on solid ground here. Good. And then we're going to come and do a lot of those exercises facing the other direction. So we're going to start with coming down, step off the back of the reformer, hip against the carriage box, hip is back, forearms on the box, and pressing out and pulling back in. Super light. Leg is turned out. Yeah, that looks good, everyone. As you straighten, you're trying to control it, so I shouldn't see your knee kind of snap to straight and your foot almost fly off the bar. You're in control. Working with lighter springs is harder. Because you have to create the stability for yourself. If you can reach your arm up to the ceiling. Last two. Press out and pull in. Press out and pull in. Push out and stay. Bring that top hand behind the head. Rotate your upper body like you're trying to look under your armpit. Square yourself back off to the side. Do that a couple times. Rotate. Try to keep the carriage pushed out. And rotate. Look under the armpit. Rotate back forward. Rotate. Rotate and look under the armpit. Two more. And then you can bring the carriage all the way back in. Carefully adjust so knee and hand are on the platform and then the other knee and hand are on the carriage. And you're pressing out, widening between the inner thighs, round the back as you come back in. So you push out in neutral-ish. You might even go into a little extension, round the back, scoop and come back in. Lengthening out, rounding to come back in. One more time, just finding that nice elongation of the inner thighs. And coming all the way back in. Good, you can step off of the reformer and put your foot, stand up on the platform first. Then come roll down, bring your hands on top of the box. You're standing on the platform. Cool. Step whichever foot you didn't use, which probably is the one away from the camera, forward. And come forward into a lunge. Find this lunge position forward where your knee is over your ankle. Try not to let that collapse on you. So you have to keep pushing from that front leg and then lift up into that kind of triangle pose. Lunge and lift. The further back your foot is, the more room you're going to have to move. The further back the platform foot is. So my calf is almost touching the foot bar. Yeah, that looks good, everyone. Each time you come back in, try to let the reformer help you to straighten both legs and get your heels down. As you push out, your back heel will lift. As you come in, it'll set back down. Yeah, and you can open up the front of the hip. You could go into a little bit of an extension. Beautiful. Try to make it smooth, not kind of fast or jerky. All one continuous motion. Awesome, everyone. Push out into a lunge and stay there. Push the carriage forward and back a little bit from that front leg. Try not to let the carriage come back so far that your knee and shin touches the box. Stop the foot when it's under the knee. And it's okay if it's a small range here. Couple more. Try to push your leg further to straight, bend it. Push that front leg towards straight, bend it. Push the front leg towards straight. And then bend the back leg and straighten the back leg. You're still keeping that front knee over the ankle. Push and pull. See if you can bring the carriage like almost all the way into the stopper. So big range. Yeah, there we go. Nice. Few more. Last one. Bring the carriage back in. Keep your hands on the box. Step your foot back onto the platform. Then drop the back of the pelvis to roll up to standing. Take a breath up there, shake it out. And then nod the chin, roll back forward until your hands touch the box. Being very mindful, step one foot onto the carriage into a squat, then the other foot. Walk one hand at a time forward towards the shoulder rests. Bend your knees so you're as low as you can towards horizontal. Yeah, and then grab the strap that's further from the camera or the other arm. Starting with that row motion, bend and straighten. Easiest way, if the strap feels too long, is just fold the strap over. You don't even have to clip it, just fold it over. And find that row. Whatever you do, don't take your hands off. Bend and reach forward. Bend, reach forward. That looks good, everyone, yeah. And then pull the elbow back by the side, do your tricep press here. Bend and straighten. Easiest way to make it a little lighter is to unfold the strap or hold longer on the strap if it's too heavy. If it's too light, hold higher on the strap. And then going into that roll with extension. So your elbow pulls back, you extend, and you reach back forward. Elbow back by the side, extend the elbow, reach forward. Bend, extend, reach forward. Good, get your hips lower if you can. Unless you're Anne or Anita, you're good. I don't think you can go any lower. 3 more. Last one. Bring the carriage back in, set the strap down, don't take your hands off. Put your hands on the box, step your feet back onto the platform, round your pelvis under, and roll yourself up to standing. Cool. So then you're gonna turn to face the side, 1 foot on each side of the gap, and you're gonna bend your standing leg to push the carriage out, and then straighten the standing leg to pull it back in. Bend the standing leg to push it out, straighten to come back in. So more or less, you're trying to move in the vertical plane where you're going down and up, trying to keep the hips level. You can do whatever is helpful with the arms. They could go out to the side. They could reach forward. They can be on your hips. Then you're going to push the carriage out, hold it there, bend and straighten that knee. So you're pumping the carriage leg out and in. Push out, pull in, push out. Three more, keep the hips facing the front. Last one, come all the way back in. Turn, so you're standing on the platform facing the foot bar. The foot bar is still down that one notch. Whichever foot was just on the carriage, that same foot is still gonna be back on the carriage. So we're gonna come down into a squat, try to reach towards the foot bar. It's kind of an aspirational goal, but it also is there if you have an emergency. So I barely am touching it, but it's there. Put your foot, so your toes are on the carriage, your heel is against the box, lunging, push, pull. And if that goes well, you can take your hands away from the bar. Just remember it's still there. If it's too hard, put more of your weight into the bar like I am right now. Ooh, that looks great, everyone. Yeah. Three more. Bring the carriage back in, step onto the platform, turn around to face whichever side you haven't faced already. Foot on each side of the gap. Bend the standing leg to push the carriage out. Bring the carriage back in. Yeah, going down and coming up. Good. So try not to let your whole body shift towards the back of the reformer. You're just going down and up. Yeah, that looks great, everyone. Anita, you're doing the second part of this, and that's totally fine. But now stand up straight. And now bend just your right leg, Anita, and push the left leg out with a straight leg. Don't lean forward. Straighten and bend your platform leg. Straighten and bend the platform leg. Take a look at for 1 second if you need to. This down and up. Yeah. Everybody else, Anita, keep doing that. Everybody else is going to push out and then pump the carriage leg out and in. Because Anita, you already did this part. Yeah. So yeah. So on both of these, your torso is staying in the same spot. It might be going up and down on a vertical plane, but you're not going left to right. Whatever is helpful with the arms. Last one. Come all the way back in, stand on the platform facing towards the foot bar. Whichever leg you haven't reached back, you're gonna hinge at the hips, come down into your squat, toes on the carriage, heel against the box, and lunge, push, pull, moving the carriage out and in. Again, the torso is stable and still. The front leg isn't really changing, it's just working hard to keep you here. Four more. Last one. Bring the carriage back in. Step off behind yourself, so turn to one side and then step off. You can take the platform off and get it out of your way. Switch to one red spring. and turn the box the long direction. Then we're gonna lay on the box with the chest over the front. Your face will be really close to the foot bar. Hands are gonna be touching the foot bar. Legs are reaching out, and just find the center of everything and push out into neutral and come back in. Legs are parallel. Find that kind of sweet spot where your chest is over the front of the box. Your elbows are not going to point straight side or straight down. They're going somewhere in the middle of those two options. Yeah, I think most of us have to scooch kind of further forward than we think, or else it feels like you crash into the stopper too soon. Yeah, so again, trying to find that rotation of the shoulder blade on the back of the ribs. That looks good, Melanie. Just drop your elbows so they're not pointed up so much. Yeah, there we go. If you want this to be more challenging, bring one hand to the front of the box. If that's a little too hard, you could switch to 3/4 spring and take the one red off and try that. You're looking at the spring, so of course you're welcome to adjust them as necessary. As you push out, you're trying to not create any rotation, trying to keep everything square. Your legs, you'll feel how they want to get further and further apart because it would make it easier for you to stabilize. Try to keep them sits bones distance apart or closer. Yeah, switch hands if you're doing one arm. The other hand can come to the forehead, to the front of the box, to the carriage. Trying to find that glide of your shoulder. Yeah, as you bend and come back in, try not to let the shoulder kind of get shoved up into your ear. You've got to control the movement with the back of the arm. At any point, you can switch back to both arms if it's getting too heavy. One more. If you switched springs, switch back to your full red spring. Put both hands on, rotate your legs turned out and separate them about as wide as the reformer. Push out through the back of the arms. Lift the head and roll through your spine into a swan dive type motion. Lower back down, bend and come back in. If you want to scooch a little further forward, as long as your bottom ribs are on the box, that's fine. Push out, it'll kind of help you to get up a little further. You'll feel how you can more easily get the front of the pelvis off. You push out in neutral, you lift, 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 lift. You lengthen back down to neutral, you bend and come back in. And allow the movement of the reformer to kind of roll you up and down off the box. So kind of figuring out how the machine can help you. Can play around with moving further forward, like I said. Just making sure you're not sinking. Yeah, gorgeous. One more time. And come all the way back in, slide off the side. We can put the foot bar all the way down. We're gonna do arms pulling straps, so if you need lighter springs, feel free to adjust. And we're gonna lay on the box facing the back of the reformer. You can put your arms through the loops and then grab a hold of the ropes. It's just quieter that way. And then scooch forward so your chest is over the front of the box. Legs can be parallel. Walk your hands up on the ropes. Plow, pulling your arms back, lift into a little extension, and then lengthen back forward over the front of the box. Lifting up and lengthening forward. Lift and lengthen. So it feels really different than the last extension we did. It's obviously much more work to lift high because the bar was helping us on the last exercise. On your next one, you're gonna hold your arms back by your hips and bend and straighten the elbows. Bend and press. Good. So you're on one red spring. If you need it to be lighter, you can. Your head is towards the back of the reformer, towards the pulleys. Last one. And then sweep your arms back down. Put your hands on top of the rails and just let yourself kind of collapse a little. Take a couple breaths here. You okay, Melanie? Okay, good. And then you're gonna lift your body back up. One more thing here, we're gonna press our arms up into the Y airplane shape, and we're pulling the arms back to the hips, trying to keep the arms on the horizontal. Yeah, this is hard and typically heavier. Even if you have those double type straps, you should be holding up onto the rope so that you have more range. And if it's too heavy, then we could lighten your springs. Obviously, we're all different bodies. And so for everything, we won't need exactly the same springs. I'll just give you a kind of starting point and you can adjust from there. Last two. And last one. Good. You can put your straps back where they go or on the floor. Come up from there, standing. Turn the box, so the box is the tall way, like the inside of the box is facing back towards the pulleys. Yeah. And bring the foot bar up. We're not done yet, so don't think this is the end, but hold on to one foot, put your knee kind of in line with the shoulder rest, and try to lunge, opening through your hip. Melanie, yeah, there we go. Cool, perfect, you got it. Open up the front of the hip, so try not to lean forward or it takes the stretch away. You're trying to push your butt forward. So if I could do anything, I'd be trying to get my hips to push forward towards the foot bar. And open. Yeah, exactly. So it's not about pushing out the carriage, it's more about trying to get the front of the hip to open and the hip joint to lengthen. And then coming back in. Walk around to the other side, do the other side briefly. Open up the front of the hip, try to pull back on the abs. The more you can imprint instead of extend and flex at the hip, the better. So trying to tuck your butt under. Hopefully something's happening here. Good. And then you can bring the carriage all the way back in. We're going to take the box away. We're going to switch to a half spring. Needs to be very light. So if the half spring feels heavy to you, then go to the quarter. You're going to grab the strap that's on the same side you're standing on. So if I'm standing on the side closer to the camera, then it'd be the hand further from the camera that's holding the strap. I'm facing towards the foot bar. Yeah, perfect. Okay, and so then you're gonna bring your foot up against the shoulder rest. It's super light. You can feel how it moves so easily. Bring the other hand onto the foot bar just while you adjust. You're gonna bring your arm forward. You can step back if you need to, and you're gonna slip the other hand in the loop. So the hand away from the camera, then the other hand is on top. So then you're gonna round your back a little bit and scoop, try to round as much as you can. And then you're trying to go like up and around a ball behind you. So you extend your spine and lift up and back. And then you lunge and round like slow motion punch to the stomach. You extend, let the arms kind of lead you into extension. And then, yeah, keep your back knee down And think about like you're trying to open the front of your chest. Good. Your hands are staying on top of each other. Both hands are stacked on top of each other. You only have one strap. And scoop up, open the front of the hip, open your chest. Push through that standing leg, lift yourself a little bit away from the floor. One more time. And then get out of this the way you got into it. So the hand closer to the camera comes out, bring your arm down gently, turn around to face the other direction, grab a hold of the rope, back up, sit down into a squat, low row, connect your ribs, keep looking forward. So your elbow bends and straightens, and you bend and straighten. You're facing the pulleys. Good. And then reach the free arm forward. As you pull back, keep it forward. As you pull forward, rotate. So you're opening towards the side. You need to back up so you have full range, you can. You just have to have enough room that the arm can straighten all the way before the carriage hits the stopper. Think of it kind of like a swing. Swing and swing and swing and swing. And then coming back up, you can set the strap down, walk around to the other side. Grab the strap with the hand closer to the camera. Foot against the shoulder rest. So same arm as leg is holding the strap as is on the carriage. Push the carriage out till the rope is all floppy and you're in this big lunge. That's right, Melanie, put your right foot against the shoulder rest and stand on your left. Yep. And then the other the other hand comes on top of that hand and you go into that big wheel kind of shape, rounding your back, lift up and round and lift into extension. So you're thinking of like slow motion punch to the stomach, brings you forward, you sink down, you open up the hip a little, you're lower with the body, and then you're trying to go up and around as you come through. Lift into extension. Good, just do two more. We're trying to just feel some new opening through the front of the body. Kind of the opposite of sitting in a chair. And last one. Get out of it mindfully, so bring the rope down, and it should be real light then to bring yourself back in. Face the back of the reformer, hold on to the strap, come down into a squat, and then slow row. Good. And then add the other arm forward, pull row back, and then open to the side. If you crash into the stopper, then back up a little bit. Row and rotate and pulse and pulse. There can be a little bouncy feeling to this, or swing. Four, last two, and last one. And then come all the way back in, put your strap back. And just to finish, put 2 lead springs on. It's okay if these aren't your settings. Put your hands on the foot bar, step up into your elephant position and just round your back up towards the ceiling. Should feel kind of nice to be in this round position. If you want to add a few pulses of the legs, pushing back, pulling in, focus on like you're trying to stretch the skin of the entire back of the body open, like from the surface of the feet up the back of the legs, across the spine. Last one. And then you can come back in and you can do anything else you need to do. But otherwise, you're all done. Good job.